Hi, beautiful kindred spirits, and welcome back to another heart centered episode of Healing Our Kindred Spirits. I'm Donna Gaudette, and today we're exploring something tender, intentional, and deeply transformational: the creation of sacred space, not just as a physical practice, but as a spiritual homecoming. Now, if you've been part of this community for a while, you know I'm not about rigid rules or cookie cutter spirituality. I'm talking about sacred space in its most soulful, personal form. It's about choosing a place or a practice that allows you to exhale. It's a space where your nervous system can soften and your spirit can stretch out and just be. Maybe it's a corner in your home, a patch of sunlight on your porch or your deck, or even a time of day where you can tune inward. Whatever shape it takes, sacred space is your permission slip to pause and to reconnect with the parts of yourself that so often get lost in the noise. So if you're feeling frayed, scattered, emotionally overdrawn, you're not alone. You're exactly who this episode is for. Today, I am sharing 5 sacred truths that have become guiding lights for me, truths that have reshaped how I hold space for myself and others. These aren't just tips or philosophies. These are lived truths. They're my truths. They're earned through grief, through healing, trial and error, and even grace. And my hope is that they'll help you begin or deepen your own spiritual sacred journey. I should mention that when I first started outlining this episode, I had every intention of covering everything: the how to's, the tools, the symbolism, the clearing rituals, and the energetics. But once I passed 25 pages of notes, I realized, this needs to be a 2-part series. So today is part 1, which is the foundational and heartfelt. And then on August 1st, we'll dive into actually building, clearing, and personalizing your sacred space in more detailed, hands-on way. Trust me, it's going to be so beautiful, and we're going to have some fun with it. So if you've always wanted to create your own sacred space, tune into that episode. We're going to teach you how to do it. We're going to show you. We're going to show you the tools, everything that you need to start that practice. And as always, I've created some gentle journal prompts to accompany this episode, and you can find them in the show notes and also as a downloadable PDF in our private Facebook group, Healing Our Kindred Spirits Podcast with Donna Gaudette, and on our public page as well, Healing Our Kindred Spirits. So let's begin softly and deeply with intention. So the first lesson, is sacred space creates emotional grounding in a chaotic world. Let's tell the truth. The world is noisy, both out there and in here. The external chaos of constant news cycles, medical appointments, raising kids, work, finances, caregiving, chronic pain, even grief. And then the internal chatter, the anxiety, the self-doubt, mental load that never seems to let up. A sacred space becomes your nervous system's retreat. It's a pause button, a sanctuary. It says to your body, you're safe now. And in a world that really offers that kind of softness, creating it for yourself becomes an act of self care. Even a single object with meaning, it could be a photo, a stone, a crystal, a seashell, a candle, anything can act as a touchstone for your body and spirit. It becomes a signal that you're entering a space where the expectations drop away and you get to simply be. It is your space. Now, my sacred space is a room filled with many touchstones of my life. I love angels, fairies, crystals. I have a salt lamp shaped like an angel. I have salt lamps in every room of our home. I have a heart-shaped prayer bowl in 3 of the rooms in our home. I have singing bowls. In my healing room, I have a comfortable chair where I sit to meditate, and even where I sit to cry when life gets too much. Now, this room holds the whispers of my healing journey. And no matter where I've lived, I've always had a healing room or a healing space, I would say for the last 15 to 20 years. And of course, it's a journey, and we know deep in our heart that a room doesn't magically make things disappear, but it does give you a space to just be. And the truth is, we truly never stop healing. But I didn't start with a whole room, as I mentioned. I started with a little wooden box of treasures and a shelf where I placed what I could not say out loud. I was just starting out, and I started with a few crystals, and I started with a couple of seashells and some sand from the Cape. But start where you want. Start where you need to. And what started for me as a little wooden box is now two separate rooms with very distinct purposes. And it's not just these two rooms that hold my spiritual truths or what we feel comfortable with or what we bring into our life. Every room in our home has elements of spirituality in it. It could be an angel, it could be a crystal, it could be anything. Every room in our home has crystals, and that's helps the vibration of our home as well. But that is my truth. That is what I enjoy doing. But you don't have to start big. You can start small. So the lesson for this, for number one, the deeper lesson for this is sacred space offers regulation to your body and soul. It becomes a refuge, your place to land when everything else feels like it's too much. And over time, this space isn't just where you go to rest, it becomes where you go to remember who you are. Number two, your space reflects your inner landscape. Our outer space and our inner state are in constant dialogue. Have you ever walked into your kitchen and thought, why do I feel so overwhelmed all of a sudden? And then noticed piles of paper, dishes in the sink, clutter on every surface. Our spaces hold energy, and when we feel heavy, our environments often reflect that. But here's the good news. It works both ways. When we begin to gently tend to our space, we begin to soften the overwhelm that's inside of us too. And listen, I'm not talking about picture perfect, magazine worthy neatness. I don't know of anyone who lives that way. I'm talking about meaningful arrangement, purposeful placement. It could be a vase of dried lavender. It could be crystals on your shelf. It could be a cleared corner, a chair that you actually sit in. That's what creates emotional resonance. It's the energy that you bring to that space. For me, when things get messy or disordered, I can feel it in my bones. And my husband knows too. He can tell that something's not right. My anxiety flares, I shut down, I get disconnected from my intuition. But when I spend even just 10 minutes creating a little order, something unlocks. I breathe easier and my thoughts flow again. So the deeper lesson for this is sacred space is a mirror. If you feel emotionally scattered, tending to your environment with intention can gently bring you back into alignment. It's not about aesthetics, it's about energy. And we know everything has energy. And when you bring clarity to your space, your soul will follow. Number three, a sacred space invites presence and ritual. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you allowed yourself to slow down? Not just physically, not just mentally, but spiritually. We live in a world addicted to speed. And I don't mean speed for medication, I meant the hustle. But our spirits are not wired that way. Our spirits crave rhythm, not rush. I remember working 50-hour weeks, being my dad's caregiver, and tending to my private healing practice. I was go, 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 go all the time. When I think of it now, I get exhausted. But even during that time, I found time to stop, even if it was just for 15 minutes. When I was at work, I would just go to the stairwell and just spend 10 minutes there of quiet. I just needed to shut down. I just needed that quiet. I always found ways to just disconnect, to reconnect. Sacred space creates the container for rituals, a breath, a card pull. I will go ahead and pull a card sometimes. I have angel cards. I just pull them sometimes for myself and say, what is it that I need to know today? Why am I feeling so stuck? What is it? What is it that spirit needs me to know? And then a prayer, of course, a moment of silence, or on some occasions, even a good cry. And ritual, when I talk about rituals, everything in life is a ritual. And ritual doesn't have to be religious or rigid. It's rhythm with meaning. It's an anchor. My healing room is where I light candles with intention, where I sit and I breathe, where I whisper, thank you, or ask spirit for clarity. And sometimes I do sit and cry, and other times I just rest my hand on my heart and say, I am safe. I'm still here. I'm okay. And you would be surprised, those three little sentences, how much it can recalibrate that stress and anxiety. My bedroom, or our bedroom, is also a sacred sanctuary. It has many elements of my healing room, and I surround myself with crystals, angels. I have fairy lights on the tabletop trees and thoughtful, meaningful treasures that bring me peace and joy. And I'm fortunate that my husband goes along for the ride because he appreciates the energy of how things feel as well, because he knows when something is disrupted, and he appreciates and enjoys the spirituality that I bring to each room. And I also sleep with a puffy heart-shaped rose quartz in my palm every night. It's something that makes me feel safe. Sometimes I'll hold a rosary. Sometimes I'll hold my wooden cross. But most nights I will hold my puffy rose quartz heart. And the deeper lesson for this is ritual turns our ordinary moments into soul nourishment. And when we practice them in sacred space, ritual becomes a way to commune with your inner world, honor your humanity and your divinity in the same breath. Number 4, you're reclaiming personal power. This one goes straight to the heart. So many of us, especially women, those of us who are empaths, who are sensitive, who are maybe trauma survivors, have been conditioned to shrink, to apologize for our needs. Is this you? I know it's me, or it was me. To make do, to not take up too much space. We may have been told in our lives that we were either too much or not enough. Does this ring true for you? But a sacred space of your own, that is you saying, I matter. This is you saying, I no longer wait for permission to care for myself. Let me repeat that again. I no longer wait for permission to care for myself. That is you reclaiming sacred ground. Now, my healing room holds a desk that belonged to my dad. It's a big, beautiful oak roll top desk. And for years, I didn't feel worthy enough to use it. I avoided it. It stayed in storage. I tiptoed around it like it was just too holy for me. Sitting at it just made me sad because I missed my dad, and I felt like I hadn't earned the right to have that desk. I avoided it, but during meditation one day, I heard his voice, and it was clear as anything. And in my mind's eye, I saw him, and he said, it's time. Use the desk. That moment shifted something in me. It was then that I had the courage to start this podcast, sitting at that desk. Now it's where I write. It's where I write the podcast episodes. It's where I record them. It's where I edit them. It's where I pour out my truth. It's where every episode is written, recorded, edited. It's where I show up fully without apology. So the deeper lesson for this is sacred space is a reclamation. It says, I no longer outsource my value. I belong here. I belong to myself. And once you make that declaration, the world begins to respond in kind. And our last lesson, number 5, our last truth, sacred space becomes a portal to the intuitive and unseen. And finally, here's where things get a little mystical. Not woo-woo, but a little mystical. When you create a sacred space and you return to it regularly, something shifts within you. The veil between the seen and the unseen begins to soften. And again, this is up to you. Your intuition sharpens. You feel more connected to spirit, to your guides, even to your inner knowing, your intuition, your gut feeling. Sometimes it's subtle, a flicker of insight, a tingling sensation, or I like to call little glimmers. And other times it's profound. It's like hitting you right in the face. You may feel the presence of a loved one or receive an image, a word, or what I like to call a creative download that arrives like a gift. Sometimes I'll just start getting information. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? And sometimes it's even when I'm stuck on a podcast episode theme or a title, I'll sit there and I'll meditate and I'll connect to source and it'll just come to me. And then I start writing. And then I end up with 25 pages. So when I sit at my dad's desk, I feel him. And if I light a candle in silence or hold on to my favorite crystals, I feel surrounded by something larger than myself. That's not coincidence. That's the power of presence paired with intention. So, the deeper lesson for this is your sacred space isn't just a retreat, it becomes a living altar, a co creator, a bridge between your earthly self and your higher self. It's where magic whispers and healing begins. So, kindred spirits, those are 5 just simple truths, lessons, whichever you want to call them, to get you started on this journey of really getting into the mindset of sacred space. In our next episode, we're going to go deeper and it's going to be fun. And I really hope that you'll join us for that episode. So if your soul, my dear kindred spirit, if your soul has been calling for quiet, for clarity, for care, this is your invitation. Start where you are. Use what you have. Trust that it's enough. You don't need this, or that to start. Just start with intention. Just start with yourself. Let your space be a reflection of your light. Let it become a home for your spirit. Let it remind you, especially on your hardest days and your most sacred ones, that you are never alone. I want to thank you for being here in this shared sanctuary with me today. If something resonated with you, come let me know. Reach out. You can join our Healing Our Kindred Spirits community on Facebook, or you can leave a review to help others find their way to this space. You can share this episode because this is about spaces of healing and remembrance and learning how to be comfortable with our own self, with our own spirituality. Until next time, honor your space, honor your energy, and most of all, honor the sacred within you. I'm Donna Gaudette, and I'll meet you here again in our shared healing space.